Here, question that I got just the other day from one of our members in Freedom Founders. Actually, it was a friend of his who was asking him, "Hey, Dr. X, I know you're in part of this Freedom Founders group that does a lot with real estate. I hear the investment to be a part of that group is pretty substantial." And I'm not saying it isn't, but the question, which is a great question of this friend of one of our members, was, well, then how do you justify it? What's your ROI? What's your return on that investment? And that's a great question. You should look at what the ROI is, the return on your investment in everything you do in life. There's a return on the capital, again, the money you would invest in something, whether it's equipment or a program or a CE program, or invest in new automation or systems, or invest in a new person on your staff. You've got an investment. And then there's also your time investment. If you're involved in training, or you're involved yourself in going to training or a CE course or whatever it is, whatever your involvement is as far as your time, that's also got to have an ROE, return on effort. So you've got to combine those two things. So it's a great, great question. And my answer is that there's two components. I believe there's always a direct component. What are the direct measurables, which can be measured different ways? And what are the indirect measurables or metrics? Let's start with the indirect. I'm a part of a number of masterminds. I believe heavily in masterminds for reasons I won't go into deep detail right now, but I will say that it's been the number one best investment I've made in my whole life to find the right ones, even outside of my formal education, which obviously got me to where I could be in my own business, my own practice. But irregardless, a mastermind group, the right one, has been the best investment I've ever made because, number one, I am in a group of thought leaders. I'm in a group of people who collaborate, who are like-minded. We build trust relationships. There's no egos. It's all about how do we help each other. We can actually be vulnerable in those groups. We can talk about things that haven't worked, our weaknesses. And that collaboration, that ability to combine and share resources is huge because there's so much clutter of information out there today. There's so much out there that's free. You go to the internet, and you could spend the rest of your life and never even get into even a fraction of all the information out there. So people say, well, why do you need to be part of a group like that? It's because I want to have that group help me distill down or curate the best information and the resources, and then connect me to other people through that mastermind group, through that network, to people that I need on my quote team. Now, I don't mean employees or vendors. I just mean my own board of advisors. Who are the people I need to know? It's always a question you should ask. Who else should I know that you know? And that happens through mastermind groups. So that's the indirect benefit. Now, what you do with that kind of information, of course, is up to you. It's up to me. I have to have some kind of a platform, a business, something that I'm leveraging. And through that mastermind group, my indirect benefit comes from how I utilize those resources in the mastermind. It's up to me to do that, by the way. And every mastermind I'm a part of, that's how we, the members, get the benefit. Now, if we're not going to use the information, if we're not going to put it into place, we're not going to take action, we're not going to implement, that camaraderie might come with a relatively high price tag just to go hang out with like-minded people. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that, but that's usually not the point. The point is you want to get a return on that investment, both your capital invested and your time. So that's the indirect. Again, I can't put dollar figures on that. Nobody can, but I can tell you it's immeasurable. It's there because I wouldn't be in a mastermind group year after year after year, and the other people I'm a part of wouldn't do it either. Same thing with Freedom Founders. Our members, we have a high retention rate, way over 90% year after year. Why? Because the return's there. Now let's talk about the direct return on investment, what you can actually measure. And again, you might have been involved in coaching programs for your business or your practice. And that coach comes in and they help you put in systems and help you better manage your staff and your productivity and modify and revise maybe even a lot of small things that combined, you can actually see the numbers. You can see the top line revenue, and hopefully you also see the net profit change. And you can usually say, well, that's probably a lot of a result of me working with this particular consultant or mentor or coaching group, whatever it might be. In Freedom Founders, our direct return, which is rare to find in any other mastermind group I'm a part of, where you can actually invest your money in tangible assets, which is the real estate, that return on investment, again, is dependent upon what type of real estate you invest in. But I'm going to give you an example. In the single family arena, which most people find is hard to do because of the management, but the management is something we essentially set up in a turnkey style, so it is easy for our members to do. They don't have to have a second job to do it. I've got a member who gave me his numbers just the other day. He's been with us for 2 years. I'm not going to give you his name because this is private information, but I'll look at the email here, and in 2 years, he's invested just right at $372,000 of his own money. Now, some of that money came from tax paid, before tax money. Some of it came out of IRA accounts in which he could self-direct that money, self-directed IRA accounts. So combined, he has $372,000 of his money invested. Now, in that, he was able to purchase or acquire a total of 18 properties. And the total value of those properties is just over $2 million. So I'm just doing this in my head. That's a little over $100,000 market value for each property. Now, here's the cool thing. He's got these properties all financed with long-term fixed rate mortgages, 30-year fixed rate, and the average interest rate is 6.25%. Now, historically, that's a very good low rate. And for an investor, that's about the rate of return you can get today. So with those numbers, he is generating a total of $7,600 per month net cash flow. Now, that's net. That's after expenses, after management, after any vacancy turnover, repairs, and after his debt service, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. He's netting on those 18 properties $7,600 per month. If we annualize that and then divide by his cash invested, $372,000, that gives him an overall rate of return of 24.5%. Cash on cash, meaning his cash invested $372,000, and the net cash flow he gets, he's getting a 24.5% cash on cash return. Now, that does not include his pay down of debt, amortization of debt. That does not include the increase in value due to inflation or appreciation. His cash flows will go up as inflation goes up. His values will go up, so they'll keep pace. That does not include the depreciation offsets that he gets from those properties, which basically harbors or mitigates tax on a good chunk of that cash flow. So those are the add-ons. That's the icing on the cake. 24.5% cash on cash without the other tax preferences that are part of real estate. My friend who is in Freedom Founders, his friend asked him, he said, if I can get 7% average in the stock market, then why would I want to come to Freedom Founders? Well, hopefully I just explained it. Now, if real estate's not your cup of tea, you don't want to learn about it, you'd rather just go with what's easy and just go with a financial advisor or just do your own investing online, then that's what you should do, and get your gentleman's 7% if you think that's what you can get out of the stock market year after year. But I'm saying that with real estate, done the right way, through the right channels, the right people, the right structures, we can beat the stock market hands down all day long. And for me, that's what it's about. I've been doing this for over 38 years. I've gone through all of the major down cycles, including the last one in 2008. And guess what? My properties never knew that they had a loss of value, maybe 15%, maybe 20% at most. Why? Because the cash flow kept on going. The tenants don't leave. They don't run for the hills. Some of them double up. Some of them ratchet down. But if you're in the right properties, the cash flow goes on. Now, 10 years after the last downturn, the property values are back up again. But the main thing is the cash flows never stop. And when you're a long-term investor, you really don't care about the ups and downs. What I care about is generating the predictable, sustainable cash flow that's also indexed to inflation. So there's my answer about return on investment. There's the indirect return that is really hard to measure, but if you get it, why a mastermind is so valuable, that's number one reason alone by itself to be a part of a mastermind. Number two, which you rarely get in other masterminds, with Freedom Founders you do, it's the direct return on investment from your actual capital that you decide to invest in real estate. Once you learn how to do it, you know how to do due diligence, it's the right people, right connection. That's what makes it work. So hope that helps answer the question. It's a great question, by the way, and I'm glad that our Freedom Founders member's friend posed it to him. Remember, always stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.